Hello, beautiful internet family. My name is Dan Davis, and I'm the creative director here at DansTube.TV, as well as the Fearless Drone Academy, which is the ultimate online drone course for beginners. And today, I've got my thoughts and my impressions and everything that you need to know about the DJI RC. So when this was originally launched, it was an exclusive product to go alongside the Mini 3 Pro. Now, this combo on its own, phenomenal. Like if you're considering the Mini 3 Pro, I would genuinely suggest just spending that little bit extra to get this controller. It definitely makes the world of difference to the experience. And it's such a solid controller, you know, like comparing it to the RC Pro, which I've actually got some content on the channel that you can check out. This controller is exactly what you need. I find the RC Pro to be a little bit of a novelty. It's significantly more expensive, and for its price point, I don't think you get enough to justify it. Now with the RC, the DJI RC, I'm probably gonna get confused and maybe say the wrong thing throughout this video, but this is the DJI RC, and this, like I said, came with the Mini 3 Pro as an option. It's now compatible with the Mavic 3. So you can get this in a bundle with the Mavic 3. Again, a great combo. It's not like you need the RC Pro. Yes, it's a better controller. It feels a lot more, I guess, sturdy. The sticks themselves probably feel a little nicer. The buttons feel nicer. The operating system's a little bit more open on the RC Pro, so you can download some Android apps on it. I do find that most of them aren't compatible and it doesn't run as you would want it to at the moment. I'm sure that will improve with time. But in the sense that like the RC Pro is meant to be the Pro version and it gives you all these new features, I don't find it to be like enough. It just doesn't justify it for me. Where this guy here is at a nice affordable price point and it gives you exactly what you need. There's no fluff to it. It's literally just the DJI Fly application. You have a little bit of like a file system where you can save different videos and photos and whatnot to it, and you can play around with different files on here. But outside of that, it's pretty much just that: settings, file system, and the DJI Fly application. The thing I love about the DJI RC is that it's not trying to be anything else. It's literally just what you need it to be. So the thing that is really cool, firstly, about it is the fact that the display is 5.5 inches, it's a 1080p display, and you can get a feed of up to 60 FPS. So the live video feed from your drone, when you're flying your drone, is 1080p up to 60 FPS. Now, it can go up to, with the Ocusync, it can go either Ocusync 3 if you're using this guy here, the Mini 3, or if you connect it to the Mavic 3, it will then actually enable Ocusync 3 Plus. So it is versatile in the sense that it's not just using Ocusync 3, it can actually go to 3 Plus if you connect it with the Mavic 3. And then based on what a lot of the rumors are saying, this isn't confirmed just yet, but there's a few little leaks out there saying that the DJI RC will be compatible and there'll be kits with the Air 2S, which the Air 2S is using Ocusync 3, same as the Mini 3 Pro. So I think that would be the perfect combo. Instead of looking at a smart controller or an RC Pro or even just the standard controller, this is affordable enough to not feel like you're wasting money and spending too much on it. And to have that dedicated screen honestly does make the world of difference. Now, in terms of the build quality here, it's just what you need. I mean, when I compare it to the RC Pro, I can feel that there's a lot more quality control going on with the RC Pro. It feels like a more premium offering, a little heavier. It's just got some nicer materials to it. This feels like a cheaper younger brother, but not cheaper to the point that it's degrading, you know, or it's disrespectful, you know, like it does exactly what you want. It feels sturdy, and it's a nice build. Like it's a nice size to it. Feels great in my hand. I've given it to a few other people and all of them seem to think it's fine. It's a good size for them. That display is perfect. Like you don't need anything bigger. Glad it's not smaller because then it could be a problem. But a 5.5 inch display, 1080p is fantastic. In terms of the boot up time, like it boots up really quickly. Like as I'm talking, I'll just let it boot up here. Gives you the DJI logo. I then think it says like devices starting, and then it jumps straight into DJI Fly. So within like under 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, something like that, you're ready to fly straight away. It connects very, very quickly. And I find that it connects really quickly to the Mini 3 Pro, hey, as well as the Mavic 3, like in terms of how quickly it connects to satellites and how quick it is to set up and go straight to the app. Nice and quick. But as you can see, launches straight into DJI Fly. You can't close that. So there's no way right now, unless there's people out there that have worked around it. It's literally just DJI Fly. And then from there, you can swipe down from the top and see that there's Wi-Fi options. It gives you the time, the date. You can connect to Bluetooth as well if you want to connect to like Bluetooth headphones, because it does have the option to listen back to audio. You can go into airplane mode if you don't want any, notifications or anything like that popping up. You can mute it as well. And then the other cool features is that you can record the screen and capture some screenshots. And there's also mobile data options. With the recording of the screen though, I do find that when I'm looking at the screen, it's beautiful. It's a 1080p display up to 60 FPS. But then when I actually press that record screen button, it captures a 720 by 480p video, or 720 by 480, which is like a 480p video. So not amazing quality when you're actually capturing the screen itself from the unit, but that's a very small amount of people that would be doing that. If you want to capture your screen, just keep that in mind. It isn't 1080p, it does drop significantly, and you're probably better off like capturing your phone screen if you've got it with a standard controller. The other thing that I would say takes a little bit of getting used to, for me personally, I've obviously flown a lot of drones, but is actually the thumbsticks. I find that the system itself is a little bit stiff. Now that's not a problem. I still find that I can manage the movements of the drone and I can still get smooth movements. But if you're not used to it, it is relatively stiff. Like you can see it just kind of bounces back, and that's great. Like it's good for most people out there and I'm fine with it. I have no issues. But if you're going from like the standard controller over to this, it is a little bit of getting used to, and it is a different feel when you're flying the drone. Again, not a problem. I guess it's just something to keep in mind that it doesn't feel like the original standard controller that you'd have on the Mini 3 Pro or the Mini 2 or whatever it is. But it does feel slightly different here, which is, relatively nice to get used to. I do love how they haven't overcomplicated this controller. It's just everything you need in a controller and no kind of novelty and bells and whistles. It's just, this is what you need in a controller. So you've got like the USB-C charging port here. You've also got a host port, which is underneath this little flap here. And that actually allows you to connect up to like a hard drive like this. So this is a portable hard drive that I can connect up to the DJI RC, and I could copy some photos or some videos over to this device here if I wanted to. One thing to keep in mind is that you can't capture anything over 1080p and then copy it onto the actual device itself. So that means that you're limited to only really photos and anything under 1080p or on 1080p. So that limits you in the sense that you can't be capturing like a bunch of 4K footage and then copying it straight from the controller onto a hard drive. You would more so want to use the quick transfer, which you would then have to connect your phone anyway. So that little host port there is handy. If you're really into photos, you can capture the main photos, the high quality photos onto your device. But you also do have that little micro SD as well, which I plug in just so I can record the screen. But again, you do run into that problem of you can't save anything over 1080p onto the device itself. If you don't have a micro SD in the unit itself, you do have around 2 gigabytes of storage. So it does have 8 gigabytes in the internal storage, but that's for like the operating system and for whatever else. But by the time that you've got everything set up and you've connected to your drone and everything, you've got about 2 gig to play with. So on the device itself, without any micro SD or hard drive or anything like that, you got about 2 gigs just to save a few photos on. Nothing amazing, but I guess it does the job if you want to capture a few things, record the screen or anything like that. It does the job for those kind of basic things. And then in terms of navigating the file management system, very similar to what they've done with the RC Pro in the sense that it's literally just running an Android operating system that's dumbed down. So on the DJI RC, like I said at the beginning, you're very limited with what you can do. You can only really play around with the file management system, go into DJI Fly, and then go into the controller settings. Controller settings really doesn't have too much. So again, it's really just about the experience of having a built-in screen on a controller dedicated for your drone, so you don't have to worry about your phone at all. And that's kind of where it does excel. With the management system though, that works really well. You can just tap on different options and view different things, and the playback's great. Like when you're playing it back on the screen, that looks great because it's got a speaker. You can then hear what's going on from the recording as well. And it just does a basic job for playback. If you really wanted to play back footage, it can do that for you. In terms of the screen brightness, you can get up to 700 nits from the screen itself. So the RC Pro is up to 1000 nits, but you will find that a lot of smartphones out there, even though they may have more than 700 nits, a lot of the time they'll overheat and then come down below 700 nits if you're flying in direct sunlight, where you find that with this controller, I don't even really hear like the fan engage or anything. It's very quiet when it's running. And on top of that, it literally keeps at 700 nits at all times. I've never had it drop below that or struggle to display 700 nits. I've always got it maxed out. I'm in direct sunlight, and it seems to do a fine job in any kind of direct exposure spots where there's sunlight on the screen directly. So that's a great benefit when you're trying to focus on what's happening, and just having that optimal 700 nit display, it just looks great. Now, in terms of battery life, which is a big thing because normally you'd be using your phone, and yes, you can charge your phone from the controller itself, but to not even have to worry about that, you can have your phone in your pocket at all times. You might not even want to take your phone. Maybe you just want to focus purely on being present and flying your drone. You can leave your phone at home, take out this controller, and you don't have to worry about anything else, which is awesome. And they say you get about 4 hours of battery life from the controller. I would say that's pretty accurate. I find myself flying a bunch of flights before I even have to bother flying. I mean, not flying, before I have to bother charging. This drone, the Mini 3 Pro, I've only got the one battery, but let's say I'm flying for about 20 or so minutes, 23 minutes, 24 minutes, and I do that multiple times. I'm not even finding I have to charge this controller much at all. Like, I get a bunch of flights before I even have to think about charging it up. I never thought that I'd be so excited about a controller. Like I said, did get the RC Pro, and I've got some content on the channel. That is exciting, and I'm so grateful that I get to test all of these amazing pieces of tech. But I do want to be honest to everyone out there who's watching. I do find the RC Pro to be overkill, and a lot of the time it doesn't do what you want it to. Third-party apps don't even run like natively on it. It's not the most optimized experience. It still is amazing. The display's great. It's a lot more, I guess, build quality wise, a lot more premium. Performance is probably a little better again than this, which is expected because the internals are going to be better. But I mean, it just, for the price point, I can't even recommend it to most people. I really can't. But when I look at this for the price point, it's perfect. It really is perfect. It's everything you need. It's not bogged down with crap. It's just what you want, and it's ready to go nice and quickly, which again is all you need. You just need it to launch and then do exactly what you want it to do. And I do find that even though the buttons do feel a little bit cheaper compared to the RC Pro, and it does feel like a cheaper version of a smart controller, that's exactly what it is. Like, it's meant to feel that way. It only weighs 390 grams, so it is pretty lightweight as well. And you got some options here to screw in like a lanyard kind of thing if you want to have that connection and just leave it dangling. Like I said, there's a few port options, and besides that, it's just a simple offering that does great. So I'd love your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I know there's a bunch of people out there that have got themselves the Mini 3 Pro and got this controller, and I've been talking to a lot of you. I can see that you're loving this and this does what you need, but definitely let everyone else know in the comments your thoughts on this. If you've had any negative experiences, let them know as well. I do find that range isn't an issue. That's something I didn't really mention thoroughly, but range isn't an issue. I do always keep my drone in line of sight. So I find that I'm only flying 3, 4, maybe 500 meters away from me. I never push it really that far because I want to keep it in line of sight. So range has never been a problem for me really with any drone. But even with this drone here, the controller, like, it's great. I did compare it when I had a few different flights with the standard controller and then this one. I find that it does the same job. Range is great. It's not cutting out or anything like that. It just does what you want it to do. So yeah, overall, a really cool controller. Can't wait to see this coming out in terms of the compatibility with the Air 2S. I really hope that happens soon. I know a lot of people out there will be very excited for that. But that's it. Basically, that is it. This is the controller. It does what you need, and a really cool piece of tech. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to have a fantastic day, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Peace.
I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, 'cause I'm trying hard to love. sorry, my actions, they haunt me.